Welcome to Season 4 of the Amani Experience podcast. In this podcast, you'll experience wisdom, advice, and stories from creatives all over the world. Your host is the award-winning Amani Roberts, who is a DJ, music producer, professor, author, and student. On the show, we love to share the stories of creative professionals, especially people who have gone from the corporate life to the creative life. Once again, welcome to the Amani Experience podcast.
Welcome to episode 155 of the Amani Experience podcast. For this show, we're going to do a quick mini episode. I'm going to tell you and share with you 7 lessons I've learned from live streaming since probably about March, end of March, beginning of April. I've been live streaming my podcast episodes and DJ sets. I've learned so much, it's hard to put into words. So this will be probably part 1. I'm doing a 53-day challenge right now on Twitch where I'm live streaming for 53 days in a row, mostly DJ sets, some podcast interviews, and some Twitch classes. I'm learning a lot. So I want to share with you the first 7 most valuable lessons I've learned from live streaming. All right, here we go. Number 1, just get started. Don't wait. Get a simple game plan and then go for it. I think many people with many things in life get paralyzed by planning it out and hoping it to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's never perfect. So just get started, learn as you go. I think I first started live streaming my podcast episodes. I sent it to Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter via Periscope. And that went pretty seamlessly. Not many people were watching, but it was good for me for the podcast because it got the YouTube up there quickly. People could share it right away. It was pretty seamless. I use StreamYard.com, which is like an app or not an app, it's like a platform, web-based platform on Chrome and I think Safari, where it allows you to broadcast to different areas, gives you a nice studio. You have some graphics you can use. You can bring in music and videos, and that's what I used right off the bat, like right there, late March, early April, kept it going. What then happened is that I was supposed to have my book launch in real life, in person, all over the country with different speaking events. Of course, with the quarantine pandemic, that got shut down, so I had to be creative, and I ended up having to do a virtual book launch, which I will link in the show notes as well. And I had my friend Jessica, DJ Flossie, was like behind the scenes being an executive producer. I did a virtual book launch. I invited people. I had probably over 125, 150 people on it, which is some of the biggest crowds I've ever had, even today, on live streaming. And that was in April. If I knew then what I knew now, it could have been much better. But in retrospect, it went so well. It went well with the music I was playing, did the Q&A. I read from the book, had some guests, performers, musicians, both V. Torres, 2 students from Cal State Fullerton performed. You know, there were a couple of sound issues. Of course, it's always challenging when we do that, but looking back on it, it went extremely well for what I knew. And that's just another example of just go for it. You try it out, see what worked. But I feel comfortable showing that virtual book launch to people so they can see how it went and rolling with it. So I definitely think that just go for it. Where I am now, and we'll get into that next when we start talking about technology, but now I primarily use OBS for my DJ streams, Open Broadcasting System, I believe that stands for, and I still use StreamYard for my podcast and doing that. So yeah, that's it. Just do it. Just go, get started, learn, ask for help. YouTube is a godsend. Google, I mean, if there's a problem, someone has been through it before and there's a solution out there. Just take some research. That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, it deals with technology. The technology will evolve. Just, go on forums, ask questions, see what other people are using. When I was first using StreamYard, they have an incredibly helpful Facebook group. And I learned so much there about like camera settings, what to use the computer, just everything, just digging, learning, taking notes, trying things out. I went, and early on in the pandemic, I knew that this was probably going to be a little bit longer than I expected. So I went and bought a Canon A6000 camera, had to borrow a capture card from AV Masters. Thank you very much, Brandon, for hooking me up. I got to mail the other one back to you, and just tested it out. Some parts worked, some parts didn't. Then I had to use an audio interface that I had already that I was using to record live podcast interviews, and that ended up being an amazing piece of equipment, the Zoom H6. I'll link this equipment in the show notes as well. But that piece of technology allows me to bring the audio in from my either microphone that I have via USB, or it allows me, or XLR connection actually. And when I do my DJ sets, I can connect my mixer to the Zoom, and then I connect the Zoom to the computer. The sound sounds good, and it is. So the technology will evolve. I tried out a couple of new things, and eventually I then started probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a little over a month ago, actually using open broadcasting system, learning that, and just other things in there. So the technology will go just learn, try it, take things out, ask friends, ask people. You'll get it. I'm still learning. I'm trying to figure out now how to add a second camera to OBS, but just keep moving forward. The technology will evolve. The third thing I learned, which is extremely helpful, and it's very simple to tip, is wherever you are broadcasting from, try to get as close as possible to the router. Wherever your router is, try to get as close as possible. If you have to run a 100-foot cord, try to do that, and just get as close. I notice when I do my community keynotes live streaming show with Melissa Majors, we have to get guests to get close to the router. It makes their video look clearer. It cuts up the choppiness when they're talking. If you can connect directly, do it. Even if you're on Wi-Fi but close to the router, it's much better. Also, make sure any devices that could be accessing the internet while you are online streaming your live show are off. For me, I had to learn the hard way that my PlayStation 4, make sure that's shut off and not in rest mode so it doesn't activate and download an update in the middle of one of your broadcasts, because that will cause your screen to be fuzzy. It will cause the screen to be choppy. So, yeah, that's a quick, simple tip. Get as close to the router as possible. That will help you out a lot. Number 4 is share all your live streams, the information on social, whether it be a schedule in advance, through your email newsletter, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you are present, put it there. You don't have to live stream to those platforms, although I do to many of them, but try to share things here and there so people can consistently see that you're live streaming, and they'll get into the habit of checking. And, it just helps to spread the word. Spreading the word is important, get people in there, and also for the replay, that helps as well. Like I use LinkedIn a lot to share some of the live stream videos or just a schedule, even with the DJing, which reminds me I need to do one for that soon as well. So use social media to schedule it, even as you are live streaming on these platforms. Like Facebook will let you set up appointments for live streams that are happening. Same thing with LinkedIn. Also, if you want to live stream to LinkedIn, which I recommend if you have a podcast, you have a more professional type of live stream, apply often to be a live streamer on LinkedIn. I know I spoke about Melissa Majors before. I think she applied and it took maybe 2 or 3 applications in about 2 months to do that. And so now we also live stream community keynotes to that platform. It's helpful to get people used to watching you live on there also, because as you keep going, the audience will grow, which leads me to tip number 5. The beauty in live streaming is in the replay. People are quite busy. They can't really tune in live all the time. Many times, especially for DJ sets, if you're streaming live for 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours, they might not catch the first hour. They might have to leave, so they always want to come back and watch what they missed. So the beauty is in the replay. People will see a live stream podcast interview or a show, especially our community keynote show. They'll see the live stream recording up, and the viewership just explodes after it's done. You can put social media kind of advertising against that to get it in front of more eyes. When it comes to DJ sets now, the rules are changing every day with, DMCA and the record labels. For Twitch, right now, as of early September, they'll just mute your sets, mute the music right after you stream it if there's like copyright claims, and that's pretty much it. YouTube does the same thing as well. They'll mute that also. And so I think probably for the next few months, that's what it'll be. Things can change, of course, but I think that's what's happening right now on that. So you might miss the replays for the DJ sets, but what I've started to do is if I know it's a popular set and I can tell from the energy in the room that people are feeling it and are going to want to rewatch it, as soon as I finish streaming on Twitch, I will download the set, put it in Dropbox, and share it that way. And that seems to be pretty effective. People like that. They ask for the links. And so that's a quick tip for if you're DJing or you have a live stream that you've done to Twitch or another platform where it could be muted later, download it right away, right after your set. Or, so far, don't want to jinx it, but on Periscope, which is Twitter, so far there are no issues with any copyright or any muting, so you can go there and watch each set, DJ set, or a podcast interview with music. So far there's nothing that's happening to it. Don't want to jinx it, but that's what I've noticed so far. So either download it right away, point people to Twitter, Periscope, and the beauty in the live streaming is in the replay. I see that time and time again, and I just wanted to share that with you. Number 6, which I've learned both by doing the podcast and really by doing the DJ sets, is make sure to engage with your live viewers. If they're taking the time to tune in and they leave comments and chats and say hello back. I love to involve my live viewers on the podcast. When they ask a question, I will stop the podcast and say, thank you, Melissa, for asking this question. Here's the question for my guest, and it really makes it interactive. I think when I interviewed Melissa Majors for my show, and it was someone else I interviewed with the audience, it was Dwayne Drawn. Those 2 interviews, people were really interactive in the chat, and so it just changed the direction of the interview. It just made it even more meaningful and just unique. So engage with them on Twitch. For sure, if people are stopping by and subbing and donating bits or shouting out, definitely recognize them. Try to remember things about them because they'll keep coming back. That's how you grow your audience organically, and people love it, and they'll stay on the page and interact. And so I think that just make sure to engage with your live viewers. On Facebook, if people are leaving comments and saying things, just say hello, thank you for the comment. I agree, I disagree, tell me more. Ask them questions, which will prompt them to continue to engage as well. I think this is really effective, and it helps your live streaming videos go a long way live. And then the replay, people see you're interacting, like, whoa, I want to be a part of it live so I can interact with him. So it just helps that way, helps to do that. My 7th tip, for sure there'll be a part 2 for this because I have so many more in my mind right now. But today, the 7th tip I have is try to just really have fun when you're live streaming, not worry about who's tuning in live and the current live viewership. That is extremely difficult, I'll be honest, because you want more than one person. But whether there are 5 people in your live stream or 5,000, treat it all the same, have fun, interact with people. It comes across directly in the stream. People can tell if you're having fun or if you're just phoning it in. So enjoy yourself, have fun, and try not to worry about how many people are viewing live because that will stress you out and make you not enjoy the experience. All right, those are 7 quick tips. I hope you enjoyed this mini episode. Don't forget to, follow me at Amani Experience on all the social platforms. Also, feel free, the sponsor of this podcast is my book, DJs Mean Business. So feel free to buy that book wherever you get your books, whether it be Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. We're working on getting the audible version recorded. I've been a little bit delayed in doing that, but it's on my list of things to do. So do that. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you continue to stay safe, and I will see you next week with another episode. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Amani Experience podcast. You can check out the show notes on amaniexperience.com/podcast. Please remember to leave us a review on the platform you're listening on and share this podcast with anyone who you feel would benefit from listening. See you soon for our next episode.